The village that you can see behind me here is the village of Sandwick, and this is where my singing all began, because I began singing in the choir in Sandwick Hill Primary School. The hill that you can see at the top there, I used to walk over that hill every day across the croft to school, which might sound pretty idyllic, and certainly the way that I remember it was pretty idyllic. I wanted to come to Lewis to record a live album because this is my home, this is where it all started. I found my upbringing on the island, it's inspirational, as you can probably see from the background behind me. There's a lot of songs on the islands, big story songs, and these are the sort of things that have interested me over the years. I was lucky to grow up at a time where there were various things to do on the island as well that were also involved in the arts, whether it was ballet or whether it was theatre when we were at school. So I've always loved stories and story songs, and I got a really good start in life with all these things, and it's something that spurred me on. When I was older, I went on to study other forms of music. I studied at the Academy in Glasgow, and I think that I was very lucky to get the start in life that I did. The first music teacher that I had while I was at Sandwick Primary School was Alma Jamieson. She was a great singer herself, and she put us through her pieces before we ever entered any of the mod competitions. And I'm not quite sure why Alma picked me to be a soloist. I think possibly I had a big voice for a little girl.
You were a natural. From the day you came to school, you were a natural, yes.
I do. The first time I sang, it would be part of the choir.
Yes.
But I don't remember how I got from the choir singing into the solo singing.
Well, we probably pushed you in. And mind you, I don't think you needed much pushing.
No,
yes, because you were always keen to have a go at everything.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my mum told me a story actually, and it was actually my Auntie Joan that noticed that I had a good voice, a good singing voice. But my mum told me years ago that we were at a wedding, it was somebody's wedding, and there was a stage, and obviously the band had been up playing on the stage, but there was a microphone in the middle of the stage, and she turned around at one point and I was standing in the middle of the stage holding the microphone.
Yes.
And she just thought, oh Lord, what is she going to do? But I sang something, which was passable anyway.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you were in the choir as soon as you reached probably primary 3, 4.
Right.
I think that's when we started choosing people for the choir. Yes.
I remember also Mrs. McSween, because she was the teacher.
Yes. Yes.
And she was a primary 3 teacher in the school. But I remember one year when I'd won a competition at the mod, I wasn't in her class because I'd have been older at that point, but she took me into the class and she stood me on her table and she asked me to sing for the class.
Oh yes, because she was very interested in the Gaelic side, of course.
Yeah,
she probably did the Gaelic with the choir at that time.
She was a nice woman. But we did lots of other different things.
Oh, we did lots of shows, yes, we did, yes.
Yeah.
With Betty.
With Mrs.
Miss
McPhail.
McPhail, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember the Crinan Canal.
The Crinan Canal, yes. And there was another one about a train. The train from Glasgow, was it? I think that's what it was called, and there were all sorts of things on this train.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I do remember one time, Alma, because you were put us through our paces. I mean, that was one of the reasons that we did well in the competitions, was because Alma let us away with nothing. But I do remember one time being in the choir, and it must have been something tricky in a first section, and we all stopped singing at the same time.
Oh dear. Good job, I don't remember that.
But you were at the gig the other night, Alma.
Yes, I was, yes.
How did you find it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, yes. It was
Great.
Excellent, yes, it was lovely.
And I suppose things have changed a bit since...
Oh, things have changed a lot, yes,
yes.
yes.
How did you find all that?
Yes, well, of course, you're not concentrating solely now on Gaelic songs, as you were when you won the medal, and you moved on to other areas, while still keeping your Gaelic interest as well.
Yeah.
But I notice the voice is developing all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very interesting. I think it's very interesting for singers because the voice gets kind of richer as you mature.
There was, I must be honest, when you started concentrating more on the English songs, I wasn't hearing the real Alyth for a while.
Really?
No.
Was I hiding?
You were hiding, yes.
And
the
why?
voice just wasn't coming out the same.
Is that, I wonder why that is.
But it is now. In fact, on Saturday night, I leant over and I said to Alan, my husband, that's the real Alyth.
Oh, wow, I see. So you mean that...
You were holding back.
When I started. It was kind of interesting actually, because when I sing in Gaelic, it's something that I've done all my life, so it was very comfortable and very natural for me to do it. And I think when I was singing in English, I felt much more...
When you started, probably that's what it was, and now you're more comfortable with that. Yes.
And it's interesting too, because that is something that it takes your audience time to get accustomed to that as well. Which was interesting.
Yes, but it was a lovely selection and lovely songs, most of which I didn't know. But
great.
And your diction is so good. I think that's so important nowadays, because when you listen to the radio or watch on television, you can very rarely make out the words.
Well, that is in part due to yourself, but it's also in part due to another teacher I had called Pat McMahon. Because that was one of the things that Pat was very precise about, was your diction.
Your diction must be.
Because you're telling stories.
You are, yes.
You've got to convey that to your audience.
Well, that's what I always say to children if I'm adjudicating, or adults. You can have the loveliest voice in the world, but if you can't communicate with your audience, you might as well stay at home.
That's fair enough.
Yes.
Well, I hope I communicated with my audience.
Yes, you did very well.
Now, when I left the Sandwick School, and then I went on to the Nicholson, I had another teacher there who you knew very well, and that was Bob Scott.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed having Bob as a teacher, because he used to put on end-of-year productions as well. Yes,
he did wonderful productions, yes.
And he also conducted our choir, which was very successful when we were with Bob.
And do you remember the Gilbert and Sullivans we used to do?
I do indeed. In fact, Alma's boys called their cat. No, was it their puppy?
The puppy, that's right. It was the puppy, yes.
Alma's boys called their dog after me.
Tessa.
My character.
Yes, your character, that's right, yes.
Yeah. That was a production where my father played the part of my boyfriend.
Yes.
Very strange things in the Highlands,
But it was wonderful at that time, where every department in the school pulled together.
That's right. Everything from the technical department who were building things.
The stages, the English department helped with the words, and the art department, the backdrops and the makeup.
That's right.
Yes, it was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
I felt very lucky that I got to do all these things.
Yes.
But one of the things that I remembered, and I wondered if you remembered it about Bob, when he conducted the choir, and I feel this was a gift actually, that he used to do this, because it made me feel very good, and I know there's other members of the choir who felt very good, was when he conducted the choir at the Mod during the competition. If we were singing really well, he'd stop conducting and he'd stand at the side.
Yes.
Do you remember him doing that?
Yes, oh I do indeed, yes.
And the thing that was lovely about that was it made us realise that we were singing well,
Yes, and you were so well trained that you could do that.
That we could do it. Yes. And then when he stood to the side and he let us sing ourselves, it just made us push it up another level. Yes. Yeah, and I'm very grateful for that. I'll always remember that about him.
Yes.
Lovely man.